presented here for your consideration the notion that the ordinary people surrounding you every day, on the street, the bus, at the post office, or the trendy evening venue, are, in fact, far from ordinary. That these men, women, and others form their own splinter groups behind closed doors, and that these micro-societies engage in activities often more obscure than fiction. Welcome to the Sub-Subculture.
Hello, and thank you for joining us on the Sub-Subculture Podcast. I am discontinued, wildly unpopular My Little Pony character, and your host, Andrew.
And I'm Joe, forklift driver and jewellery heist mastermind.
Oh, you've upskilled since last time.
I have.
Have you got your HGV license? No, you can't drive a forklift. Fuck you.
I've upskilled and gone topical.
Topical. Interesting. Well, we'll see how topical it is, because this time we are discussing the world of high fashion. But is this an avant-garde showcase of artistic creativity, or is it elitist trappings to oppress the everyman?
That is the question.
It's a question.
We'll get to the bottom. It's a question. It's a question that we're going to answer.
Another question is, how come my pants don't fit as well as they did before? Why is underwear tighter? What is the cock pocket for at the front of boxers? These are all questions related to fashion also, none of which we intend to answer.
I think the answer's in the question there. What is the cock pocket for?
I mean, this is completely impractical to put your cock inside a pocket in your boxers.
Too big, is it?
More
the
like
pocket,
there's so much extra space. Carry my wallet in there.
Ain't no one stealing that from you.
I have to put my dick inside the wallet to keep it safe.
That makes sense. Along with your €5 note.
Fuck you and your euros.
Oh, you don't have euros, do you?
No, I don't have any currency. I'm poor. Anyway, get on with it.
So, high fashion.
High fashion. Haute couture. Haute couture.
Which interestingly means, I did know this, high sewing.
Yeah, high sewing, highly skilled sewists.
Interesting.
Anyway,
it's come to be a branch of fashion. Haute fashion. Just means
Oh.
high fashion.
We can talk about the proper definition of haute couture in a minute, but preconceptions going into high fashion. What do you think, or what did you, as an everyman on the street, think of high fashion?
How dare you? I'm very sophisticated.
Fashionista.
Very. What I thought going into this, as we were saying before we started recording, I had no idea. Of all the subcultures we've looked at so far, this is the one that I had the least clue what it's about. It seemed completely inscrutable to me. I'd look at the designs and catwalk models and the ridiculous nonsense they're wearing and just draw a complete blank. I cannot for the life of me figure out what the attraction is in any of this. So my preconceptions were, mostly bafflement, really. I just can't figure out what this is about. It can't be about people wearing practical clothes because they're not practical. And you don't see people wearing this stuff anyway. So it's not really about style and clothing that you would wear. It seems to be about something else. What about you?
I like that. Such a man's take. None of this clothing is practical. None of it's going to stand up to a hard, cold day in Derbyshire.
It doesn't even have pockets in it.
Fucking pockets. So, thinking about high fashion, I'm picturing runway models in ridiculous outfits, much as yourself. And it's the kind of stuff that would even be rejected from like B-movie horror or sci-fi crappy shows. Like, it's so outlandish, right? When we picture high fashion, the kind of nonsense that people are wearing going down the runway in no way resembles actual wearable clothing.
It would be rejected from even the most dystopian cyberpunk dystopia.
Exactly. But it's touted as designed by some homosexual Italian somewhere, so therefore it's got to be genius. That's where my brain went when you said this. Or well, as if my brain wasn't always on homosexual Italians.
You do ruminate on them a lot.
But I guess I was mostly thinking of like the final scenes in Zoolander. Do you remember that film, that Ben Stiller vehicle?
Oh God, what a great film.
Where they're all dressed in literal garbage, but it's taken seriously. Zoolander's a great take on the modelling and fashion world.
It's fantastic.
A great teardown.
Magnum, it's so beautiful.
Le Tigre, it's kind of more of a softer look. They're all exactly the same.
And what's Will Ferrell's character called?
Mugatu.
just
Jacobin Mugatu.
Just remembering him. Oh, he steals the show. What a great film.
Yeah, I use the gif a lot of him screaming at the end. Like, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills, which I do much of the time. So yeah, I didn't have any more of a clue, I guess. I asked my wife what the point of such ridiculous high fashion was. Not that she follows it or gets any related magazines or stuff.
But she's a woman. She knows about these things, right?
That was my very sexist assumption as well. And
what did she come up with?
She said that the point of such ridiculous high fashion is not to be actual clothing, but just that the high streets will eventually copy one or two things from it. So I think she had a peripheral understanding of actually what the truth of it is. This stuff goes on the runway. It's not really clothing, but in 12 months' time, you'll see a handbag that looks remarkably similar in Primark or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Based on a Chanel bag, which is 1,500 euros.
I don't know. Based on an intergalactic scrotum-looking silvery thing that's being draped across the shoulders of an androgynous semi-human.
Mm-hmm. That sounds about right.
So high fashion, haute couture, as I'm using my incredible French accent. Try not to wet yourself immediately hearing that.
It's amazing. I feel like there's a Frenchman here in the room with me.
It doesn't stink of garlic and surrender enough for that. But this refers to exclusive, custom-fitted, high-end clothing. It should be created by fashion houses to represent the pinnacle of style, craftsmanship, and exclusivity, and is characterized by tiny batches, tailor-made, seen as wearable art, and pushes creative limits beyond commercial viability and is considered to be extremely trend-setting. Now, obviously,
cutting edge.
This term is clearly French, and this particular brand of arrogant, self-important wankery clearly came out of France. And it did. It started in 16th century Paris.
Haute couture, avant-garde, etc.
But the term haute couture is protected by French law and defended by the Paris Chamber of Commerce. A fashion house has to be on the list of the Chambre Syndicate de la Haute Couture, which is reviewed every year in order to be eligible to call themselves haute couture.
Interesting. So the French are staking a claim here about defining even fashion itself. They're trying to get ownership of it, the French elite.
Well, I've known enough Italians through work to know that they've got rules for everything when it comes to food and drink, like ridiculous made-up things that they will just look down their nose at or like, oh my God, I can't believe you've put this with that. When it comes to eating stuff, maybe the French have got that for clothing, but I guess it makes sense when you think of all the aristos that they got beheaded post-revolution or in the revolution. This is all from before that time when decadence and luxury, they would create rules to say, oh, you're not stylish if you're not doing XYZ according to haute couture.
That's interesting. So from what I can see, it started out with, before fashion really existed, it started out simply as tailors making clothes for people. In particular, I suppose they must have made them for everyone, but particular aristocrats and wealthy people who could afford fine clothing. Clothing used to be as much a symbol of wealth as anything back in the day, because it was not mass-produced, it was tailor-made. If you had fine clothing, that was a good indicator that you were of real money. It's still true to some extent, which I think is why people buy high-end fashions or high-end designer label stuff when they can't necessarily afford it, because it's still kind of, clothing is still indicating to the world something about you.
It's a status symbol for how you want to be seen by the outside world, yeah.
Same as cars and all kinds of stuff, but it then seemed to evolve in the mid-1800s, and I think a particular tailor himself, like Charles Frederick Worth in Paris, did 3 revolutionary things. He put his name on the garments he made, which no one had done until that point. He told aristocrats what they should wear, which no one had ever done before. They would tell the tailors what they wanted. He sort of reversed that. And he showed his designs seasonally. And so it kind of flipped the power dynamic. So the tailor became the taste maker, and his client became the audience for what he decided was cool, rather than the other way around.
Rather than marching in there and saying, I want something that looks like this, I want it in these colours, make it for me or I'll cut your feet off.
Exactly, or I'll take away your land. Make me a trench coat made of moles. Do you mean mole skin, sir? No, moles. Living moles. Very good.
And then when you go back, there's too many moles.
They bit my arse cheeks. Oh, they bit my arse cheeks, sir.
The mole has bitten the cheek of my ass, my perfectly manicured and powdered ass.
Kill all the moles. Whack-a-mole, eh?
And that's how whack-a-mole was invented. Thanks for joining us, Dan.
The more you know. Boop, 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 boop.
This is French stuff already.
Oh, I'm in a bit of a silly mood today.
Good job, I'm a sexual train that cannot be derailed.
As I said before, trains can be derailed, but run with it anyway. So what happened then was haute couture became elite theatre between the late 1800s and the mid 1900s. So couture houses functioned as social clubs for rich women, and they were sort of exclusivity machines, but they catered to a tiny client base. They had astronomical prices, no intention to scale, and the designers were completely dependent on very wealthy patrons. If they were popular and people wanted them, times were good. If they fell out of favour, then they would go destitute, or at least have to completely change their offering.
I think that sounds like it's carried through to the modern day, at least elements of that, with these fashion houses still existing. And when we're talking about fashion houses and being on a certain list, I mean, there was too many names for me to remember all of them, but it's the kind of stuff that you guess at seeing, and others that have previously been on the list and aren't anymore are also not a surprise. But the likes of Jean-Paul Gaultier and Versace and stuff like that, these are the ones that are on this list. That's the kind of high-end thing we're talking about, right?
And were they designers originally that became fashion houses?
I think they were usually tailors who had worked in a fashion house and then were considered good enough to go and create their own line, their own brand, and become a fashion house themselves.
Interesting. So after this era, the post-war era, fashion meets media. So fashion magazines gain power and photography replaces illustration. So now it becomes, rather than the wealthy patrons, it becomes editors of the magazine deciding which designers matter, which silhouettes are correct, and which looks are going to define the next era. Designers are now answering to editors and critics more than they are to customers. Photographers, I think, still answer to designers. Photographers are quite low in the status pile. They're just a tool.
I think that certainly the perception is that everyone dances to the designer's tune, and that's why high fashion is as obscure and strange as it is. Now, I have quotes from a bunch of places, but for someone trying to understand what it's about, there was a bit from Prestige magazine, which is an online publication, that said, haute couture, as we know, is all about the experience, fittings, an opportunity to work closely with revered designers, and unrivaled access to the industry's most prestigious happenings. So that kind of fits into what you were saying about it being a place that well-off ladies might gather and gaggle.
I think designers, to the outside, I think designers are the ones with the power. They can be the divas. They're the ones creating the designs that this all hinges on. But actually, I think the designers answer to their owners. They answer to the fashion houses. They answer to the editors. And those are the people that decide which designers are going to be popular, or not necessarily even popular, deemed correct. Something that's come through this to me is what the actual look of the clothing is irrelevant. It could be anything. It's completely arbitrary what things are considered tasteful or avant-garde and cutting edge, and which things are considered gauche and tasteless. It's basically, taste isn't discovered or created. It is decided upon by a committee, I think, is one of the big secrets of this. Thoughts?
Well, there's a few things. So Reddit was actually quite a good store of information for, or at least people's opinions on it. Redditor Bulky Salt. Is a good
you
one.
Bulky Salt. Shout out to you, my salty boy.
It's got a couple of good takes, but it said that haute couture is intended to communicate the designer's ideas in an extreme, memorable way. Later, they'll design ready-to-wear collections that will be more like what buyers are actually buying. But store buyers like Neiman Marcus or boutiques buy from designers. They know the final clothes will be toned down and want to see creativity and buy from designers whose vision is going to be in a direction they concur with. Later on, he says that fashion is like slang. It's a way for insiders to communicate their insiderness so they can show what's coming up next in the way that rubes can't predict what the fashion is going to be. It's like deliberately obfuscated.
Yeah, and there isn't a coherent mechanism behind it. It's basically arbitrary, and if you're in, you know which way it's going to go because you're either deciding it or you know someone that is, and that way you can be fashionable at all times because you're in the in club.
And Redditor Scott_GC helped explain it to me.
saying, think of it as an exaggerated signal of the direction of trends. The fashion designers work on the fashion lines that will end up mass-produced and will take cues from the high fashion in less drastic changes to their lines. So, for example, it's been fashionable for men to have flat-fronted pants for several years. Recently, high fashion has now shown some pleated pants in the runway. Now the pants in the fashion show are exaggerated to the common eye, big and baggy around the hips with huge pleats. But that can signal that pleats may be ready to reappear in the mainstream. So similar changes happen with color and collar sizes, etc. That later on down the line, high fashion signals these new shades or tones, and then the trends for the market pick them up in coming or the next season.
I think that's true. I agree with that. But signaling trends to the mass market is not what this is for. It's an unintended side effect, I think. It's what actually makes the fashion houses the money. But the whole thing isn't really about money, I don't think.
Everything's about money.
Actually, it's not, I think, in this instance. So take all your elites here, your cultural elites at the top. They all tend to be very rich. Money is a solved problem. So super rich people, they can't compete with each other on money because everyone's got tons of it. It's kind of meaningless. I'm sure there's still a bit of a pecking order about, well, he's got 100 million, I've only got 60 million net worth, whatever. But what they like to compete on instead is status and taste, because those things can't simply be bought, not directly anyway. And I think this allows high fashion is a tool to attain status and indicate taste. From the kingmaker side or the quote consumer side, I think that's really what it's about. And it's certainly like I've read that the high fashion, really insane stuff just loses money, but it provides status.
But the stuff that you see on the runways that is considered high fashion is not like something that someone is going to wear to an event later on. Even that gets toned down and made into something.
That's true.
That'll be where the bespoke fitting comes in. Like, oh, I saw this crazy thing that they did on the runway where they had jagged metal shards coming off in every direction. So I went to that person and said, hey, I like that crazy shit that you just put on the runway. Make me a tailored dress like that. And then it will be translated into something that's, I don't know, silvery metallic and has sharp lines, but it's not going to have literal bits of sheet metal sticking off it.
That makes sense. Make me a dress that's kind of based on that. This is sort of like one layer down from the very avant-garde stuff, isn't it? It's design the stuff made for celebrities to wear that is maybe only going to get worn once and is £2,000. I don't know how they decide the value of this stuff, but that is what indicates taste and popularity to the broader world. You can get a celebrity endorsement, which is basically through the celebrity stylist, not the celebrity themselves.
Maybe. I guess that the status already comes from the big names attached to it, though, so it doesn't even have to be celebrity status as long as it's someone wealthy enough or considered influential enough to be wearing it. Then they've hit the goal. I mean, the whole thing, or maybe it's just sitting in an echo chamber, but it came together and it all clicked for me. Now I get it more when I heard the phrase wearable art come up, because I have an understanding of art and what art is about, and I fucking hate it. So then it actually made sense, because if you start looking at it in terms of art, something doesn't have to be good, doesn't have to be skillful, doesn't have to make sense to be art. As long as enough pretentious fucking dick sacks tell each other and everyone else around that it's good, then it must be true, because everyone's saying so.
That's exactly it.
There
it's
we
the
go.
Same thing, isn't it? It's just art. It's exactly the same as modern art, which to the layperson looks like garbage, because it is. It's devoid of any technical skill. But people have decided this is cutting edge. And you plebs, if you don't agree with us, you're not cool.
Yeah, it's your problem. You don't get it. You're not clever enough to understand this.
What I really love is idiots like us who pretend that they do get it. It's like, oh yeah, I can see what the artist is doing here. It's like really obvious that this is a reference to earlier work. And if you go to the Tate Modern, they've got like 2 sides of A4 explaining a grey square. It's like, no, this is garbage. This is all garbage. If you think you get it, you're a moron, because you don't. There isn't anything to get. Someone decided that this was important, and everyone else has to pretend or call it out for the nonsense it is.
It's not even that someone decided it's important. It's someone decided that the story behind this is stupid enough that other people will look at it and think they got it. It's completely so. Don't get me started on the Tate Modern. That's a whole different thing. Oh, I've been there so many times. I can see why the price is free. It makes me angry.
If you hate it so much, why do you keep going back? I think you like it. The lady doth protest too much.
I don't know, because it's free and you can go indoors when it's cold in London.
What are you, a hobo?
Sometimes.
I've been with someone who has to go to an appointment for a thing. And it's like, okay, meet me back in an hour or something. Like, oh, fuck am I going to do in central London? I can't afford anything. I'll just go inside the Tate Modern and get angry.
I'm going to go to a gallery, which I know is going to drive me into an apoplectic rage within 3 pieces.
What 3?
Within 1 piece. First thing by the door. I think you like being angry. I think you don't know who you are without a burning rage inside you.
I'm used to it. It's a comfort blanket.
I think your identity begins to dissolve if there's not a red mist clouding your vision.
It's if the red mist ever goes away and I have to become culpable for my actions. That's what I'm afraid of. So I have to just keep feeding it.
Back to the Tate.
Yeah, I'm glad I live in a different country from that now.
I live in the same.
Good for you. And you go there all the time.
I went there as a kid and I thought it was trash then.
Poseur. There was this other Reddit user, thank you Reddit user Introvert Poet, who turned me on to a scene from The Devil Wears Prada, which is obviously turned me on to it. Nothing about The Devil Wears Prada turns me on. Anyway.
What about the institutionalized abuse and cruelty flowing downhill? Did that turn you on?
Of The Devil Wears Prada? I've never seen the film. I couldn't tell you.
Have you not?
No.
What are you, straight?
I've seen this one scene.
What are you, a man?
You fucking stop interrupting me. I'll tell you all about it. Anyway, it's Meryl Streep.
What are you, a straight man or something? Sorry.
Fucking Meryl Streep.
Carry on.
Meryl Streep's another thing. She's basically art as actress, right? There's another fucking overrated piece of tat that everyone gaslights each other into being good. Oh, she's so amazing. Fuck off. No, she's not.
She's a standard actor.
Weird-faced old horse. She's not a good actor.
She's all right. Acting's just not very difficult, though, is it?
Just say words, innit? Basically acting right now.
Some comedian, Jim Jeffries, said acting isn't so difficult because, I'll tell you how I know, because they just gave me a part in a film and I played it with no training and it was fine because it wasn't that hard.
That other guy that you liked, Bill Burr, he had several roles in The Mandalorian, he had a recurring role with several scenes in The Mandalorian.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And was he passable as an actor? You didn't think, Jesus Christ, this guy's bad at acting?
I didn't think, why is this guy come onto the middle of the scene and telling knock-knock jokes? No, he was fine. He just did what he's told.
Yeah, not that hard.
Anyway, overplayed cow trop, Meryl Streep, is berating some young person about how the blue of their sweater was featured in fashion shows ages ago, which influenced other things, which then trickled down to the mainstream, and that her choice in colour of garment was decided for her in that room, as if that has any meaning or bearing on anything or importance. But it's just it's an ego trip for the people on the inside that think they have a lot of power over what the ants down below them are doing.
I believe that.
I worked myself up into a frothing fervour over nothing again already.
Yeah, this is what the listeners come here for.
Yeah, thanks for listening, Mum.
This is what the listener comes here for.
That's what my therapist listens for. Dear, oh dear, we're going to have to talk about that next week.
So, yeah, to carry on the history, post-World War II, couture is no longer economically viable, and this ready-to-wear concept emerges, and American mass production rises. So couture survives as marketing and prestige and cultural signalling. And at this point, high fashion stops being about selling clothes at all, and its job becomes defining taste, legitimizing brands, and feeding downstream markets. So in the 60s to 80s, there's a bit of a subculture capture going on. Youth culture, rebellion, and identity enter fashion, and designers start mining street culture, or exploiting it if you prefer, repackaging marginal identities and selling transgression, rule breaking safely, and shock becomes currency and breaking norms becomes mandatory. But it's fake rebellion, it's carefully curated, approved by editors, and sold to people. It's all packaged. Rebellion has become aesthetic, not political.
But then that's also still going to filter down, right? That's what you put on the runway. And this form of rebellion is going to manifest itself in, I don't know, a jacket that's got 3 extra zips.
True.
It's not going to be someone who's got a load of face piercings and has come out in nothing but nipple tape and a bin bag.
A true punk. Then in the 1990s to 2000s, big conglomerates began taking over and creative directors became replaceable, the risk becomes managed, and the designers become hired guns for a job. So the designer now serves shareholders, brand positioning, public relations narratives, and artistic autonomy declines sharply. All things must serve the mighty dollar. and fashion designers who you'd think would be exempt, if anyone, are just as bound as anyone else. Then 2000s to 2010s, celebrity and red carpet becomes a thing. Visibility, well, I suppose it's been a thing before then, but it becomes dominant. Visibility replaces innovation. If celebrities wear it, it matters. If they don't, it doesn't. Stylists become kingmakers, editors follow celebrities, and fashion becomes optics first. The final era is the social media era, which has actually changed the game a little bit, because Instagram and TikTok and other social media platforms allow genuine outsiders to break into it, because it's a pretty incestuous, nepotistic space. Generally, the people that succeed as designers or editors or anyone in the fashion world, they're already rich, they're already well connected, they're already fluent in elite language and elite signaling and elite spaces. And just like how people decide which clothing is going to be the trend setting, they decide which designers are going to make it and which aren't. But social media, in a rare win for social media, actually gives a little bit of power back to the people. And if you gather a social media following, you can kind of short circuit the approval system, and you can gain clout and gain cultural relevance in the space without having to go through the elite approval system. If you get big enough, they have to then acknowledge you, and you get to do it on your own terms in some cases, which is pretty unusual.
I don't believe that. Nope. I'm not falling for that. I don't think that social media has any influence over this actual high fashion, where you've got these fashion houses that still dominate the space and have to be handpicked by the people that decide it. I think it's a tool or a breadcrumb to throw out to the masses to make them feel like they've got power. But what's happening there? I mean, that might influence fast fashion or something. Trashy celebrity prostitute Rita Ora might have done a line of clothes for Primark, but she's never going to be given a spot on a Chanel design board or walk down the runway with one of her own designs on. High fashion's way above that. This is blurring the lines between fashion as an industry and as a commercialized entity and high fashion, I think.
Interesting. So you'd say that social media influencers will be used as tools to promote these fashion houses in the same way that they used to promote any corporate interest.
They might be drip-fed it into social media, like, I don't know, a Chanel bag or something like that might be given to an influencer, or they might come across it, and that helps boost the brand value of those houses in a younger space. But I think they operate, the massive ones that we're talking about, like your Givenchy and your Gautiers, are operating in a space way above that. They don't give a shit about what the masses are doing on TikTok, because it's not about that for them. It's about the status of the ultra wealthy, the ultra elite wearing one thing of theirs.
True. And no matter what happens on social media, nothing really affects their status or their power structure as long as they manage it correctly, which is why they've got things like these virtue signaling, diversity, plus size models. They do all this stuff to align themselves with the current cultural trends, but it's entirely performative, and it doesn't actually penetrate the values of the place, because of course it doesn't, because the values of the place are, we elites want to continue being elite where we are, and we don't really want to deal with mass public outrage about us. So we perform whichever virtues are considered fashionable at the moment, to give us a suitable camouflage culturally, and we co-opt any social media influencers of the moment to continue to protect ourselves in that way.
Or at least signal strongly towards it rather than actually carrying it out. I can talk a little bit about some of that in the dark side of this in a minute. I mean, I guess just before, to try and at least sound vaguely balanced, which I'm not, then there's a few things that I read from people explaining or not defending their, I don't know, fashionistas themselves, people that are interested in fashion, that see it as a positive, or that see it as something relevant to their life. Plushdesigns.com said that fashion is a form of self-expression, a view of life for many, a fun and exciting way to keep up with the ever-changing dynamics of our society. She said that she believes in the power of fashion as a tool for self-expression, and that fashion trends, which are maybe what we're talking about a little bit when they filtered, are a fascinating aspect of our culture that reflect the zeitgeist of a particular time and place, influenced by factors such as social change, technological advancement, and global events. Now, I can see how some of that would make sense, because if we think that these fashion houses have been operating in largely the same way since 16th century Paris, although the net grows ever wider and the number of people that are eligible to be in that haute couture club may have broadened, but you are never going to see a bit of Velcro on something from the 1800s. And we're not going to see like 15 zippers down the side and all this kind of stuff. So maybe there is an aspect of it having cultural reflections, but I think largely they just keep doing what they have been doing. And it's just a fun club for people in the know, sort of.
So we'll talk about this now or later, but I came across a YouTuber. In fact, before I even started looking into this, I'd found him on social media. So this guy, Wisdom K, he's called. I found him on Instagram. You come across him?
Wisdom K! No.
I think he's like this 6'4" Nigerian American guy, and he seems like a nice dude. And I came across him because I was shown a video of him creating a high fashion look for particular fonts, Garamond or Courier, and he wore clothes that corresponded, in his view, to what those fonts represented, which is a really bizarre idea. You're frowning.
Yep, no, you'll see that a lot in things I don't understand.
So, Courier, for instance, he styled himself a bit like a male courier with particular hat and some other stuff from designer lines. And it actually kind of made sense, because I quite like fonts in general. Maybe that is a strange interest, but I think fonts are interesting. But I could see the connection. Like, I am completely fashion illiterate. I'm almost art illiterate as well. I can look at something and decide if I like it. That's about it. But fashion is completely alien to me. But I could still see in the look that he'd created, like, where it came from. I'm like, oh yeah, I see there's a relationship here between this font and how you've clothed yourself here. And that was fun because it made me feel like I could enjoy a little part of this as well. It was kind of inclusive, and his style of video was quite good. It was conversational, but then it switched to cinematic catwalk, and then it back to conversational and cinematic catwalk again. And I actually just enjoyed watching the video, and he seemed like a decent guy, and he's stupidly famous now, like millions and millions of followers. And this is what I was thinking of, in the sense that he's kind of bypassed a lot of the existing power structure, and he's now doing various modeling deals with various fashion houses. So he's kind of a designer, kind of a stylist, kind of a model. He sort of crosses all of these bits, but I think the status quo is trying to capture him and use him, because he was operating from outside of that sphere, and he was creating attention and influencing people in a way they couldn't control. But he was actually, I never thought fashion was going to produce an influencer of which I had any sort of anything other than contempt for. And he's actually quite watchable, seems like quite a nice dude, which is astonishing.
Thank you, Joe. And that concludes our segment on a nice video I liked for this week. I don't know. I don't feel like that's still going to break the mold of high fashion. If anything, I think that it's done almost to make a rags to riches story that they can, if one of these fashion houses or many of them are going to go like, okay, we'll give the commoner something, you know. Oh, yeah, no, you're so talented. Come and do a bit with us. See, he thinks he's someone.
Could be. I mean, he's well off now, but he's not,
he's not Givenchy.
No.
Well off. He's not Coco Chanel well off. Well, she's dead, but But he is currently culturally relevant to some people. Fucking hell, rubber chickens are culturally relevant right now. It means nothing in this age of trash that we live in.
Oh, that's the other thing. About him, is he actually seems genuinely talented. Like, I can see what he's doing. He's following rules which are legible even to an idiot like me, which is so unlike high art and high fashion, which doesn't have any rules, but they just pretend it does and you don't get it. It's like, no, I can actually see what he's doing. So I think he's a complete anomaly, actually. The internet accidentally made the right person famous, I think. I'm just glazing this guy. I keep adding more information because you just look blanker and blanker.
Yeah. I've not come across it. I've not seen it. And I don't really think that that's actually how these things operate. I do think it's a bit of a smokescreen, a bit like saying that they're sustainable or something like that.
So speaking of smokescreens, did you watch any of Project Runway?
Of course not. But please tell me all about it.
Did you come across it?
Nope.
Cool. This is going to be another fun 10-minute section then.
I can tell you all about my toy tractor afterwards.
I want to know about that. However, so Project Runway is a reality show. It's been running 20 odd seasons now. They take a bunch of nobody designers who desperately want to make it big, and they go through a series of ritual humiliations where they create clothing which is then slammed or praised seemingly at random by various judges, and eventually one of them is left in a classic reality TV show format, and they win a flim-flam gig with some fashion house for LA Fashion Week, and then they sink into obscurity after that because it was just theatre for the poor all along. It was never about an opportunity for them. It was just about making a TV show. And they get some real people from the fashion industry in who come and nod their heads or shake their heads and play along for a little bit, but then it's back to people we've selected.
Play along, I thought might be I was about to say it until you said it. I agree, that's what it sounds like. So if you mentioned that this is theatre for the poor, but you've also found this TikTokstagrammer that you're willing to rim or something.
Yeah.
Like where do you actually fall on how these houses operate? What do you actually think of this as an industry then? What's your actual takeaway from it?
Just as I thought originally, this isn't for me. I basically don't care at all what happens in this world. It's of utter inconsequence to me. I would never buy something fashionable to wear. I wouldn't waste money on a designer brand to try and indicate wealth, like certain people that live in new builds in Milton Keynes and have live, love, laugh on the wall and go on holiday to Dubai and get their teeth whitened. Sure, buying a £200 Yves Saint Laurent t-shirt is a sensible thing if you're that person, but that's never going to be me. Yeah, I just don't care. I think the reason I like Wisdom K is that he just seems like he's having fun with it, and he invited me to participate in the fun through his videos, and it was fun for even a moron like me, and that's why I like him, because it's visually interesting and he makes it accessible, and the rest of it is just nothing to do with me. But for this, he provides a window into this idea, and I can see talent in action that I have no hope of replicating myself. It's just interesting to watch. So that's why I like him. And otherwise, I mean, let elites be shitty people to people that want to move into elite circles. That's not necessarily what they deserve, but if you chase that, that's what you're going to get. And it's little secret that these circles are notoriously exclusive and cruel, and trying to break into them, especially as a poor designer or poor any person in this world, is signing up for cruelty and humiliation as part of the ritual for a famously cruel, catty, capricious bunch of people. If they want to do that, good for them. They're free to use their free will how they see fit. But none of this is for me, and that's fine.
Okay.
What do you think?
Well, I'll wrap that up later, I guess. It's probably, it's not going to be a shocker what I think of this. Been screaming it most of the way through. I guess that something I thought was just a nice, succinct summary of it was by the Lariat Saddleback College news site, which is apparently some well-known community college, I think in California. Anyway, they made an interesting point that fashion trends help keep creativity flowing and companies profitable. But I think the second part is the more important there, because if everyone kept a piece of clothing until it truly wore out, clothing companies wouldn't make nearly as much profit. So from high fashion being a guarded elite industry of nonsense for nonsense sake, which you then go and take a little piece of and make something for yourself, that then filters down to high street fashion.
Fast
but
fashion.
It kind of basically exists for elites to feel special because they wore something one of a kind and outrageous. And then by people who ape it and want to be in that circle, it kind of enters a cultural collective unconsciousness. And those that want to follow trends are basically ensuring that you buy more clothes, and more of what you buy is throwaway. So those fashion houses or the producers for them then keep making money. It's kind of this disgusting snake that eats itself, this self-fueling loop of narcissism and extravagance that people are somehow chasing.
The Ouroboros worm.
Yeah, it's just a mess. But there was a kind of great sounding quote on this very intelligent sounding article that I started reading, and it sort of justified my whole gaslighting ramble earlier on.
Who are you gaslighting?
Oh, me screaming about people gaslighting each other into saying that art is good.
Oh, right, yes.
And Meryl Streep's good, which she's not. Okay, here we go. This is from ScienceDirect.com. So that's science direct to you, Joe, so you know it's good.
Science Direct, that's legit. That's an actual journal.
Yeah, I can read sometimes when there's enough pictures.
Who's done a study on this?
High-end fashion as a social phenomenon, exploring the perceptions of designers and consumers. This was by Yael Pedro, Enav Friedman, and Sandra Maria Carrialaureo.
Claro.
In their introduction, they say, the meaning and value of art are created through the social interactions between artists, artworks, and audience. Thus, the value itself is a social construction. Therefore, high-end brand, luxury and premium brands design is not an inherent or objective reality, but rather something constructed by the social and cultural context, i.e., none of this actually has any real value. The only value it has is
subjective.
What people say it has and what people tell each other it has. And their study goes on to say that consumers placed a higher value on designer items and designer labels if the designer themselves had expressed positive feelings towards it. So if they came out saying, oh, it's probably one of my best pieces of work, this is one of my best collections ever, that made the consumer rank it higher in how high end it is. Whereas if the designer said, oh, I'm not really that happy with how this turned out, then even though it could be for exactly the same price tag and by exactly the same fucking label that gets sewn on it, the consumers therefore go, oh, it's not quite as high end because the designer wasn't happy with it.
Because someone that the consumers believe knows what they're talking about is telling them whether it's good or bad or not.
Exactly.
Because it was just a t-shirt, then, and they're all playing along that they could tell. So like, oh, this guy thinks it's good, so I guess I should think it's good too.
It's like if you follow it, you have to dance to their tune until you get to the stage where you think that you can tell other people that the tune they should be dancing to. It's just a mess.
I think this is the difference between art and modern art, and maybe the difference between style and fashion for clothing, is the value in art is, at least I think it is, how it makes a person feel. And you can enjoy the art in your own way with your own interpretation. If it means something to you or you feel something, that's great. I don't think you necessarily need to know what the artist was trying to portray. You don't need to know any of the other story. It's just at face value. Whereas modern art, the meaning is agreed upon independently and you have to be told what to think about it because it has no intrinsic value.
How much guff and backstory can we put behind this and therefore people will say it's deep and meaningful?
Yeah, good art doesn't need guff and backstory to be appreciated. I mean, different art for different people, but I don't think anyone genuinely thinks a grey square has any merit artistically.
If you placed it in your house on the wall of a completely blank white wall, and it was the only grey square on that wall, it might have a point in that it draws your eye to it or it focuses your attention in the room differently. But that's not to say that square of grey is therefore worth 20 billion crowns.
Yeah, it's got a function there if it's painted on a room and a wall, but it's not art, is it?
I don't know what art is, but I don't like the arty scene for exactly the reasons I've been screaming about.
Yeah, it's pretentious.
It's pretentious, it's made up gibberish, and it's
full of gatekeeping and narcissism.
Exactly.
I agree. Fuck art. Let's eradicate art in the new world order.
Us proles take over the place. Only functional things.
No art, no culture.
As if we haven't railed on this enough, have you found a dark side to this as an industry or aspect of the industry when you've been looking at stuff? What's the dark side here? We like a bit of a dark side.
We do like a dark side. Let me have a little look at my notes.
Unless it's toast. In which case, no dark side in toast.
Toast is just universally great, right?
None of it's got a dark side.
The fact it causes cancer on the dark side. But don't worry about that. I don't think there's anything that's surprising in the dark sides for this. I think it's all fairly standard stuff. Like, models are more expendable than you might think. They've got almost no bargaining power because ultimately there's actually a lot of attractive or model grade people to pick from. It might be, only 1 in 1,000 have the right bone structure for it, but when you've got a country of 100 million, that's plenty of people to pick from.
Yep. So I came across that as well. I guess when I was looking at it, I tried to restrict it to the idea of high fashion rather than just the garment industry in general, because a lot of it's quite sad that it is a cliche or that it's commonly known, but stuff like things being mass produced in sweatshops in Vietnam don't necessarily apply to one-off production of high fashion, but it just shows that the tippity top of this industry it's shit all the way down.
It's everyone is getting fucked apart from, surprise, the elites at the top. There's eating disorders in the modeling world, which is pretty common. And body positivity is mostly a performative virtue signal done with a smile on the other side of the face to placate the proles.
Yeah, I think a common one is this body image of unattainable standards of beauty in models. And they say that obviously the industry standards are brutal. And there was quite a infamous controversy like from the 90s onwards around this kind of 00 sizing where models were being asked to be just that skinny, which obviously led to health risks as well as eating disorders and health risks, like women who just hadn't had periods for years because they didn't weigh enough.
Yeah, brutal. There's also, I think performative morality is something I find quite contemptuous. Just things they don't really believe but perform as if they do. But that's not unique to this. There's...
Yep. And on that, the one that surprised me the most was this kind of, I don't know, I don't think any of them have ever come out and said we're super ethical or we're making things that are from renewable materials or whatever. But
I'm sure plenty have said that.
I'll probably say anything to make a quick buck. Apparently, a lot of wastage and pollution are led back to these very high fashion brands because they've got these ridiculous practices of like burning and destroying unsold inventory at the end of a year or at the end of a season.
Can't let that go for cheaps because it dilutes the brand.
Exactly. So rather than sell this at any kind of discount or be left over as last season, they'll go and destroy this stuff that people are desperate to get if they're,
that should be illegal.
Middle class status chasers. So in 2018, a report that Burberry themselves were involved with or published said that they incinerated over $36 million worth of stock in a single year.
36 million as sold, probably about £4.50 in real value.
Well, I don't know if that's the production value or the cost or what, but I mean, it's just trying to ensure that the stuff they do have is aspirational.
Yeah, it's the middle class kind of provides the money in this operation. They buy perfume lines and handbags and other sort of diffused stuff from these luxury designers because it's a poor person's idea of what rich people wear and do, I think. They're like, if I can just buy this bit of clothing and this handbag made by Chanel, then I'm almost a rich person. I'm going to feel like what it is to be them for a little bit. But it's just most truly rich and wealthy people don't waste their time with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, these are the breadcrumbs that they throw out to you.
Yeah, exactly.
And you scrabble for them and pay through the nose for them. And you don't even realize that even that's a joke to these people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the fact that you've bought into it. Yeah, chumps. So there's also sexual exploitation. It's obvious, but young models pressured into relationships, photographers and designers abusing their access to models and other people, and careers can be destroyed quietly destroyed for refusing advances, same as it is with a lot of the entertainment industries. Well, probably many industries, really. But particularly ones people want to be in, when there's a flood of young, naive people that are willing to do anything to get to the top. And that really gets put to the test.
And it's disgusting that it is a cliche and that it's basically not a secret, it's an open secret.
Yeah, sorry, when I sound bored with talking about this part, I'm bored, of course, the sexual exploitation. Give me a unique vice. It's not because I don't find it abhorrent, obviously. It's depressingly predictable.
It's so, yeah, exactly. We said at the start when we were talking about this, there was nothing surprising really about the high fashion as we dug into it. Nothing really shocked us in finding it. It's almost sad not to be shocked by the fact that sexual violence is not uncommon. And it's so much so that you can go like, oh yeah, that's going to come up. This was reinforced by hopeforthefuture.at. They've got a couple of articles around the dark side of modeling, and that's up there pretty early on. But then the one I didn't know, I guess, is the financial exploitation by agencies of these same kind of models, in that they actually have to waste a lot of their own money on travel or photo shoots or bookings or accommodation as they try and make it.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll have agencies that will front them it and they just get into massive debt for it. And this is still chasing to be in a modeling industry which has absolutely brutal standards and is just going to tear you down time and time again.
It's very hard to get in on merit. This is why nepotism is so handy, nepotism and connections. If you want to be a model, a lot easier if you know, I don't know, the editor of the magazine or something like that. Your career can basically be made as long as you don't look like a potato. We'll decide, yeah, this person's going to be a model.
Even if you do look like a potato now, you can be a plus-size potato.
A nice Maris Piper XL.
Yep.
Anything else from the dark side?
Oh, yeah, maybe also the use of exotic and unethical materials, which again is almost like a given. This is what vegans go and chuck paint on. Your moleskin coat example isn't even really a joke. Crocodile skin handbags and stuff like that.
Ambergris whale oil perfume.
Exactly. Nice. They're tropes, but it's almost just that people accept them as part of this ridiculous pseudo-industry, subculture.
It seems to be that way. If nothing's died to make it, if no harm has been caused to a preferably sentient organism, then how desirable is it really?
I mean, I'm not saying I don't own leather items of clothing, to be honest, but is there a difference?
Leather is great. It's just it's like arts. It's what we decide is bad and what's fine. In the West, we don't eat dogs because they're our furry companions. In China, they do. Is there any difference about Chinese dog meat that makes it safe to eat? No.
Is there delicious furry companions?
Are they wrong for eating dogs when we eat pigs? There's no difference. It's just humans have assigned arbitrary values to these things. Not all things, but these things in particular.
As a dog owner, I'm finding it difficult not to want to throttle you right now, but I know you're just making a point.
Exactly. Emotionally attached to that dog.
We had some vegans outside the supermarket, I think as recently as today, and they're making a big point. They've got dogs in cages that are obviously their pets, but they're taking them out for show. And it's basically street theatre. They're there like, oh, come and get it. It's 80 crowns a kilo, fresh dog meat, as if they're going to serve you up one of these dogs and chop a leg off in front of you that you would come and be allowed to buy the dog by its weight. And they're protesting what is a beautiful Christmas tradition here of being able to pick which live fish from a tank that you want to take home and massacre.
Well, they're entitled to their opinions, I guess.
Yeah, and they can take them elsewhere.
Those poor vegan dogs.
Go and have your opinions elsewhere, not in my face.
I wonder what their stance is about feeding cats meat and things like that.
Wonder what their stance is on a knuckle sandwich. Is that considered vegan? Because I'm going to feed you one. Bitch!
Big man here. Big man talking about beating up the vegans. Safely inside his flat.
Yep. And say it to their faces.
So, big question.
The other big question, not just the dark side.
Is it sexual?
Is it sexual?
What do you reckon?
What do I reckon? No. As a subculture, it's not inherently sexual. If anything, it's kind of asexual. People can get sexually exploited inside of it, but people can get inside of it, lol. But it's not really there for a sexual reason. It's not really a kink.
It's surprisingly asexual, isn't it? Because models a lot of the time, whilst we kind of assume models to be stunning, a lot of the time fashion models, they're striking, but they're not necessarily conventionally attractive.
They're striking in an Ethiopian famine kind of way.
Or in what is that genetic lottery kind of way. But yeah, they tend to be unusual looking more than outright attractive.
That certainly seems to have been the trend recently. Yeah, that's what Katerina's complained about as well. Like, when did we stop saying that models had to be attractive? When you get these kind of androgynous fish-looking creatures.
Androgynous is very popular. I don't really know why that is. Something that we've not talked about at all is there's basically very few straight men in this space. There's women and there's gay men, a lot of gay men. And it's interesting that they operate here and straight men don't.
I don't know if I've got the statistics or the wherewithal to counter that at all. There's one dude, Calvin Klein, notoriously heterosexual fashion designer now.
Is he?
Ralph Lauren.
They might be.
I don't think they're operating in that same sphere. I think that's almost like high street fashion.
I've owned a Ralph Lauren shirt at some point, so if I've owned it, you can be pretty sure it's not fashionable.
I think you were going to say, if I've owned it, you could be sure it's straight. Your collection of stained white wife beaters speak for you.
Nothing straighter than a string vest.
It's your fucking go-to.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting. I think it's something to do with gay men being able to judge women objectively. Bizarrely, that's a strength without necessarily being sexual. and sort of being able to move in that space in a more objective way, and something to do with a sort of flamboyance and theatre. Typically, I don't want to get in trouble for saying this, but typically gay traits are kind of rewarded, and straight men are generally more repressive of emotions and conditioned to not be dramatic and flamboyant.
I mean, you're not really treading in dangerous waters there, because there was that whole show, I don't know if it's still running, but it was definitely a mid-2000s thing, Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, where they took a bunch of guys whose basically their main qualification was that they were homosexual, but
Homosexual
they also
and mean.
They happened to be somehow involved in fashion, or at least claim to be fashionistas or work in a fashion shop, and then give slovenly misanthropes like yourself and I a makeover.
Oh, I remember that,
and
yeah.
tell them how to dress.
They weren't staggeringly mean, were they?
I don't know.
Catty sometimes, but generally kind of kind.
I think that's the kind of public camp persona that people would want to associate with gay men in the whole art space and fashion as well, probably. It's more of a camp thing than necessarily a gay thing, but these are the industries that you would stereotypically think that they would gravitate towards because of this kind of cultural assumption, maybe.
One of the Project Runway winners in one of the early seasons is this guy, Christian Siriano, who's managed to parlay his way into having his own fashion label, which has become very successful, and he hosts the shows, or has hosted Project Runway himself now. And he's a sort of catty little Frodo Baggins of a man. Yeah, he's fabulous. Fabulous and mean. Mean and gay. Enjoyable to watch, but I wouldn't want to be roasted by him. I feel like I'd be eviscerated to my core. Spit or otherwise, yeah. I'm sure he wouldn't touch me with a barge pole.
Silk shirts by Dildo Swaggins.
So yeah, I don't think it's surprisingly not sexual, apart from the abuse.
Yeah. It'd be nice if that wasn't also sexual, but
yeah, it's not about...
It's not the world we live in.
It's not about sexuality. It's about taste signalling and virtue signalling and maintaining an in-group of elites. So you don't need sex to do that.
I would say it's more about elitism than it is about sexual power or financial power, really. They already have it, as you said. It's more about showing off and maintaining a status and gatekeeping that from the plebs. Yeah,
the plebs and other elites who have money but no taste.
Quote unquote taste, because as we've said, taste doesn't really exist.
Arbitrary.
It's what people tell you.
And is decided by same set elites.
So I guess rounding this out, you've already said really, but would you be into this? Or could you get into this? Could you follow Wisdom K and become a fashionista?
I'm quite happy to watch Wisdom K do his thing, and good on him for not being an overt piece of shit. He probably is underneath, because I think most people are. And if they've become famous on social media, multiply that probability by a factor of 10, along with being rich, add another factor of 10. But hey, maybe not. He seems like a nice dude, so good for him. I enjoy watching him. He's as much of a window into the world of fashion, high fashion, that I want to have. For me personally, if I can scrape together a look that is occasionally slightly stylish. My girlfriend long ago explained the difference between fashion and style. She got it bang on. Style is things that look good always. Being stylish looks good over a long period of time. Being fashionable looks good briefly. And yeah, so I try and cultivate some kind of style. But style is different from fashion, and style is as far as I'll go.
I would describe your style as washed up beach bum chic.
Thank you. That is kind of what I go for sometimes.
Yep.
Sometimes I go for lumbersexual.
Sometimes you could do with emphasizing the word wash in that washed up section. I don't know why I'm roasting you. There's no reason for it.
There's nothing wrong with grubby wife beater, lad.
For fuck's sake. This is someone who's owned t-shirts since they were 11. Like, I still have those t-shirts in the drawer.
Surely they can't fit. Do you wear them on your leg?
They're more of belly tops now. No,
horrendous crop tops.
They were baggy fit when I had them, and now they don't get worn very often, thanks to my gut. But no, they can still be worn.
Impressive.
Still got a name label sewn into the back of it.
Lovingly by your mother.
Yep. My glow-in-the-dark Scooby-Doo t-shirt has stood the test of time.
Oh man, that's passed through several phases. It's now kitchen retro.
Yeah, probably is.
Nice and ironic.
I don't wear it ironically.
You wear it
out of necessity, because it's at the bottom of the pile and everything else is in the wash.
Out of practicality only.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like clothing to be functional as well, because ain't got the time to have dysfunctional clothing. That's madness. I do wish clothing was better made in general, and I'm not convinced paying more money gets you better made stuff. Not necessarily.
I've gone back and forth on that. I think that fast fashion and disposable stuff is much more prevalent, and cheap clothing is exactly, you're getting what you pay for a lot of the time there. I like the idea of hunting for a bargain when things, basically the amount that you're willing to pay corresponds with the quality of the clothing. Then I would say that it can, you have to gauge it on that. Something's only really a bargain if it's a bargain to you, if it's less than you would have been willing to pay for it, if that makes sense. But having had a lifetime up to a few years ago of just buying things because they were cheap, either because that was the value instilled in me by my parents or what was necessary based on my income, disposable or otherwise, I've recently bought some things that I would have thought were a stupid amount of money for what they are, i.e. a pair of Doc Marten boots. How can you justify a price tag like that for a pair of shoes, but actually incredibly well made and are lasting and are waterproof and are comfortable, etc., etc., etc.
That is what they've said about Docs. I'd heard the quality is going down the pan these days, but
it's possible.
Most things are. Nothing's good for very long in this world. My main gripe is I should stop buying underwear and socks from Next. That's like my default place to buy clothing.
Mine's Sports Direct.
But yeah, the socks wear through in less than a year, and the pants much the same. You know, having a hole in the crotch in less than a year on the pants is ridiculous.
This is some hot insider chat. I think we need to move this to our OnlyFans account, Joe, describing the stains and rips in your pants.
Made quite a mental picture for the listeners. Yeah, let's wrap this up.
Yeah, I guess my closing thought on this would be that I don't like artists or the art scene generally, and this fashion stuff is an even more deluded, incestuous, narcissistic and gatekeeping world than even that. And I'm sure there's many arty types out there that will happily tell me, you can tell me in the comments if you like, that it's my problem. It's not art's problem. You know, I'm not intellectual enough to understand these things.
That must
but
be
fuck
it.
them. This is my platform, and I'm telling you, you're a bunch of elitist pricks with abstract shit that doesn't make any sense. So fuck off.
Yep, I'd agree with that. No notes.
That rampage of swearing.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of rampages of swearing, if you'd like to leave us some comments on how wrong we are, you can do so on
Another
social
smooth
media.
segue brought to you by Andrew. Master of the art.
You can find us on Twitter or X at Sub-Subculture, on Instagram at Sub-Subculture Podcast, or our own Reddit page, our Sub-Subculture Podcast. So leave us a comment, roast us, tell us that you are a fashionista and we are lifelong hobos who don't understand anything. If you want to suggest a topic for us rather than roast us, that's also good, because we might cover them in the future and give you a little shout out and say, that was your idea, Hot Dong 74.
That's my uncle.
All right. Tell him to stop writing to me, and I don't ask for those pictures.
Okay, I will. Very good. Pleasure as always.
It's been enjoyable. Enjoyable ramble through the fabric wilderness.
And the next one we are covering is...
Oh, you want to know? You want to drop some spoilios?
a very iconic look. We are delving into the juggalo, the humble juggalo.
The humble juggalo. Where the juggalo roams.
The juggle humbolo.
So from overpriced makeup to whole faces of makeup, find out what a juggalo is as we explore that question our very same selves next time. Until then, this has been the Sub-Subculture Podcast. Listen to more. Obey my dog.